questions about that, gentlemen? Basically, the funds are gonna end up getting a little bit more interest than they get at their local bank. So, it's a good deal for them, it's a good deal for the city. Administration recommends council approval. Who wants to make the resolution? Got this one right, resolutions.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number, pause for number 2146. Yeah, that. To authorize internal advance for funding of urban renewal project in the amount of 4.350.
Got a motion, made a second.
Second.
Bunch of seconds. Pick your favor. Please call the roll, Christie.
Schiffer?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Newtown?
Yes.
Wick?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, we got stuff, don't we? Jason, you want to add a little bit on why we are buying this ground, maybe for the public, so that nobody's wondering anymore, and then I can add if you don't say the right thing?
Yeah, so over the last 25.
Where it is.
Oh, where is it? Oh, okay.
Cite the legal description.
Yeah, so over the last 25 years, the city, in conjunction at times with the LBIC, have purchased ground, made ground available for business, industry, south end of town, so everything. So where this is in particular is 27th Street Southwest, south to C38, bordered on the west by Lincoln Avenue Lake, current industrial ground. We're at our limits, so there is also in our industrial parks we have a city-owned rail system, which is at its southern limits. So there's no expansion of that without ground. The rail seems to be a popular attribute to the industrial park. So we do what we can to see that that continues to grow. So the purchases of this ground will go to expanding of the industrial park when it's needed, and the rail when it's needed.
So when I started here 28 years ago, we had Beef America on the corner of 18th and Highway 75, and we had nothing else south of Lamar, period, besides the lagoons from Beef America. And in 28 years, you can see all the stuff that has gotten built south of 18th all the way to 27th. And hopefully this will allow us to continue to fill in every other spot out there with growth. And like Jason says, it seems like one of the biggest things people call us about is rail access. Doesn't always make sense to me, but that's the way the world is right now, is that rail is cheaper than trucking. They like the rail access, and since we own the railroad and that rail, it kind of becomes very enticing to a lot of people to move here. We're kind of in a hub in the Midwest, and we got a lot of trucks in town. So all those things are positives. So we just looked at it from a long-term city perspective that we have to have this ground if we're going to continue to expand industrial south.
So in that 28 years, just off the cuff, correct? What is the value of
all of that industry out there that's been added?
I'm saying 100 million, roughly.
That number's out there, Clark, I don't know what.
Yeah, I just was curious.
I mean, it's a big number.
You have $981 million in buildings.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
981 million in just buildings.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and you know, besides the fact that if you think about it, there's, what, 2,500 jobs out there? Just in that area? That's not South Ice Cream Plant, that's not downtown ice cream, that's, you know, that's not NORAM, that's just, the new place, that's just NORAM, the shipper. That's Bodine's and those kind of places, 2,500, 3,000 jobs. It's worked very well for us. We've been very blessed as a city. We've been highly unusual in the fact that we haven't given the ground away. Most of the cities just give it away to hopefully have somebody build, and we haven't had to give it away because they like our low utility rates, they like our low mid-America rates, they like our low water rates, and they like our 5-star police and fire protection.
And so,
Right?
insurance rating.
It's just what it is. I mean, somebody can argue with me on it, but that's what they come in, and when they see all that stuff, and they see low property taxes on top of it, then they're sitting there going, yeah, this is fine. We've had very little pushback on that. You always push back because they want a freebie, but, you know, in the end, everybody's got to pay something somewhere. So we've been very fortunate, so. Not that we were trying to hold that from anybody, but we want to make sure that this is the best way to do it, and the internal financing of it is probably the best way to do it, because we're not getting very much money for our money at the bank, and we're able to pay this back over a period of years, so we're just going to pay it to ourselves. Any other questions, anything else I should add that I didn't?
No, I just wanted to give an explanation, because I've been asked, and I support this 100%.
Yeah.
Do or die. You either do it or you don't do it, or you lose the opportunity to do it. And with our railroad, what are we, one of 3 cities in Iowa that has our own railroad?
Yeah.
We're very attractive, and without this, it stopped, so.
Yeah, and I don't foresee us going in there and ripping up the entire thing. We will expand as needed.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Hopefully that answers some question, Dennis, Well, stuff. If you got other questions, let us know, okay? Okay, we're gonna move on to the Code of Ordinances, yours will fail.
I gotta do the resolution.
We gotta do it, well, the actual.
E4.
All in favor?
You're campaigning a great job, right?
No.
I make a motion to adopt
Fire.
There's more.
Why is the motion on the table?
You hasn't read this one.
Read it to us, will
You
you?
gotta go to E4.
You know, find each one.
Yeah, this is. I still wanna see this stapler we used to put this thing together. That's gotta be like one of those big handwriting.
Hey, well, that's gonna be a topic, when we get to meet too.
What, a new stapler?
No.
That's like the word one.
Rex.
Rex, right.
4 or 5 pages. 4 or 5 pages.
Trees.
Okay. Okay, so now we're gonna do this is the REC bonds that go with it, that we've talked about, but now we're gonna talk about the assistant purchasing the Collins property. They're gonna enter into 4 loan agreements with Northwest Iowa Rural Electric, Northwest Power Cooperative, total loans $800,000. And this is where I like reading this stuff. Northwest Iowa Development is $300,000 5-year, 0%. Yeah, it's better than a car deal. RLF, Rural Economic Development Loan, $300,000 5 years, 0%. Okay, NIPCO Economic Development Loan, $100,000 4 years. That one does have a variable interest rate, but it's very low. NIPCO site development loan, 100,000 5-year, 0% again. Now we gotta proceed to a public hearing. Anybody got any questions regarding what I just tried to say?
We've had these loans in the past too.
And they have worked, and they're beautiful when it's 0%.
Motion to adopt resolution number 2147, establishing October 5th, 12 p.m. as the date and time for a public hearing regarding insurance issuance of urban renewal tax increment revenue bonds in the amount of $800,000. Oh, you can make fun of me all you want.
Should I get a motion? How about a second?
Sure. Second.
Okay. Ms. Collins, could you call it?
Schiffer,
Yes.
Knapp,
Yes.
Donlin,
Yes.
Wick,
Yes.
Hitchcock.
Yes.
Okay, so can I go now to the next one?
Yes, you may.
I think you did.
Yes, all of these next pages will be not included in your next council packet, so
I
that'll
think
cut
you
it
just did
down.
that on purpose. You knew that I screwed
Yeah,
up.
ordinance
You can use it as a doorstop. Okay, next one is the Court of Ordinances. Hopefully for our third and final time. At the September 7th, 2021 meeting, council approved the second reading of ordinance 967, proposed court of ordinances. Summary of the changes is attached, and I think they've been available up front forever, right?
Yep.
Anybody got any questions regarding this?
Just a couple comments here. So I think last council meeting, we talked about 1503 and 70.43. So those changes have been made. There was some discussion on back to the parking fines. In 7003, all right, there was a question on, or a comment made about, in the Iowa code, it states a $200 fine for a violation of the disabilities, handicap parking spots. That is true, and Kevin, you can chime in, but I believe it's, if there's a local ordinance, we set it. If not, it would revert to the state code. State is 200.
That sounds correct. I think it should be.
So that was brought up, and so it'll stay 100.
Kevin, any sense on how many times citations are issued for people parking in handicap spaces?
A couple a year.
Not too much.
What we find is there are certain requirements for those spots, and a lot of times the businesses don't meet the requirements.
Wow.
We simply ask them to move on and fix that. With a sign and a placard on the ground.
Sure.
Motion to approve the third reading of ordinance 967, adopting City of Lamar's Code of Ordinances.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Christie, please call the roll.
Wick,
Yes.
Knapp,
Yes.
Donlin,
Yes.
Schiffer,
Yes.
Hitchcock.
Yes. Motion to adopt ordinance number 967, adopting City of Lamar's Code of Ordinance on its third reading.
We need a second.
Okay.
Okay. Christie, call the roll, please.
Schiffer,
Yes.
Wick,
Yes.
Knapp,
Yes.
Hitchcock,
Yes.
Yes.
So now we're on E6. I hope. Okay, we're dealing with the well number 14, raw water main and sanitary sewer extension project change order. Attaches the change order number 3 for the project. The change order is adjusted to actual quantities. The financial impact is a contractual reduction, as in subtraction, of $42,272.58. Obviously, the administration recommends approval. Anybody want to make a motion?
Yeah, so what there'll be is, this will come back to you one last time for approval of the project like we did with, remember this project was in 2 separate contracts? One for the well itself and one for the raw water main and the sanitary sewer. Previously approved that latter portion of it. We haven't approved this. They're still working on a punch list out there, so once that's completed, it'll come back to council to approve.
But this number stays either way, as a credit to the project.
Yeah, whether,
I mean,
I
if we're
doubt.
approving this, then this is now in the books, right?
Yeah, so we're approving this. I doubt there will be any other changes as far as cost, but there could be.
The only thing I looked at, Jason, was Rich and I talked, and he was concerned about some of the slope away from that building.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday.
And so I'd like that addressed. I don't see a big problem, but I'm not the one calling the shots out there.
Yeah, so
But that's-
McClure, was it yesterday or might have been yesterday. I did speak to Rich and he brought that up. He did have a conversation with McClure about that. And I think there was one other thing that I can't think of right now.
Yeah, that was the one he brought up to me, but we were
Yeah.
talking about something else he just mentioned.
Yeah, so they're still working on a punch list, then what will come will be a final to completely close the project out.
Okay, we need a motion?
I'd make a motion to approve change order number 3 in the amount of $42,272.58 for the well number 14 raw main, water main, and sanitary sewer extension project section 1.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Iowa Federal Recreation Trails Program funding. The Iowa Trails Foundation has presented the city of Mars an opportunity to apply for funding for Phase 1B of the Plywood Trail. As the contracting authority of Phase 1, the city must be an applicant. The application is due October 1, with the DOT to award at the end of the year. The request is for $300,000 of the $1.841900 total project cost. So all we're doing is applying for another method of funding some of the cost.
Correct. And this isn't the first time this one's been applied for either.
Why was it rejected before? Just because it fell off their list?
It always ends up on the list. It was very similar, so the most recent one was this state rec grant application. We just got notified on that one. You know, there's more applicants than there is money. You know, we just don't make the cut.
Just curiosity, now this says Iowa Federal. Is
Yeah,
it
so-
Iowa or federal?
Well, it's a federal grant that's administered through the Iowa DOT.
Okay. Okay, because I want to take just a minute and talk for a second. I'm very supportive of this trail, but I am not happy with the way this is worded at all, because I will just, project information, I'll just cut to the chase. Project information, description, Plywood Trail, Phase 1B will build approximately 2¼ miles of the trail, connecting the existing Lamarche Trail system at the north end. Phase 1B will connect on the south end of Phase 1A, which is down at Merrill. that is not a true statement, correct?
Sounds right.
No, that's correct, that's right, because it's on the north end, this
No,
phase
no,
one.
Art, this is not connecting to the Lamar's existing trail system. There's a 1/4 mile missing, guys.
Where?
NIPCO.
No, this phase 1B will go from, just north of that bridge that was approved,
Okay.
north of Merrill,
Merrill, right?
all the way up to where we stopped our Key Avenue.
On C-38.
retro on C-38 is where this, is what phase 1B is.
Goes right here.
So C-38 to west branch of the Floyd River.
Well, I read through this. And in the narrative,
There's so many pages.
I know there's a ton of pages.
I just went for the pictures. The pictures show the connect. I didn't check the words.
I guess my concern is if we're applying for it, doesn't that imply, and I read through the narratives and stuff, and I'm not gonna even begin to figure out where they're at, that everything's agreed upon that needs to be agreed upon in this project?
No, so that's a misconception. I mean, I think that probably gets portrayed wrong in the wording. It happened on the, that was a criticism of the REAP grant also, how that was worded. It was stated in there that all approvals have been obtained, or something
Something to that effect, yes.
to that effect. That's not completely true. Well, it's not true. Phase 1B, okay, so what we're talking about here, does not have an Iowa DOT working right-of-way permit yet.
Right.
So the plans aren't 100% approved by the DOT. They don't approve. They've been involved in the entire design of this, keeping in contact.